Thanks very much, it's a pleasure to be here. My name's James Aspey, I'm 30 years old, I'm from Sydney, Australia, and so I'm going to talk to you about animal rights and about what that means. So, put your hand out if you think that animals need the right to be able to drive a car. No. What about the right to vote in an election? No. What about the right to not be treated in a bad way? Yeah, animals deserve that right? Okay, hands down. Put your hands up if you say you're an animal lover. Yeah, most people. Okay. Put your hand up if you're not an animal lover but you like them, they're cool. Yep, sweet, a few people. I was like that as well. But I think one thing everybody here can agree on is this. Put your hand up if you agree that animal cruelty is wrong. Okay, good. Hands down. Very, very good. I completely agree. Animals don't need any of these strange and silly rights. All they need is one right, not to be treated like the property of someone else. Anything that causes them harm, in my belief, is wrong. We should be treating them the way that we want to be treated. So I'll explain why that is, but I'm going to do it by telling you my story. Because only a few years ago, I didn't care about animals at all. And so a lot's changed in my life that's got me to this point. To the point actually where I'm so passionate about speaking up for these innocent beings that I stopped speaking for one whole year. So I didn't speak for a year to raise awareness for animals, to promote peace over violence. I've also been tattooed for 25 hours straight to raise donations for them, and I've travelled around the world giving free speeches just like this one, nearly 200 of them in the last couple of years. So this is a very important topic to me, and I think it's a very important topic it should be a very important topic to all of us. But I'm going to tell you how I got to this point. When I was 17 years old, how old are all of you? 13. 12, 13. Okay, when I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with cancer, leukemia and lymphoma, and I was given 6 weeks to live. So I was extremely sick, as you can imagine. I lost all my hair, I put on 30 kilos almost, so fast that the skin on my sides actually ripped and bled. I had at one point this bad reaction to one of the drugs they put me on, and it felt like someone was bashing my legs with a baseball bat and dragging a knife up my spine. There was another time where I couldn't breathe, and it was so severe that as we rushed to the hospital, if we'd have stopped at one more red light, I wouldn't be here. So I was extremely sick, and I really suffered. And this is where I realized that suffering is one of the worst things any of us can go through. Do you agree with that? Yeah? Okay, so would you also agree that if suffering is one of the worst things we can go through, then to come out of your suffering is one of the best things that can happen to you? Do you agree with that? Okay, then how about this? Would you agree if that coming out of your suffering is one of the best things that can happen to you, that helping someone out of their suffering is one of the best things you can do as a human? Would you agree with that? Yeah, I think that makes sense as well. I was very lucky when I was sick that I met a personal trainer, you know what that is, yeah? Like a fitness instructor, who helped me get fit, get healthy, and get strong again. But most importantly, he helped me out of my suffering. And I was so grateful to this man. I was inspired. I wanted to do the same for others as well. So I became a personal trainer for the next 8 years, very passionately telling people how to treat themselves, look after themselves, get fit and strong and healthy, what to eat, all those kind of things. And I was working on cruise ships at one point, traveling around the world, giving lectures and teaching classes, where I met a very interesting man who said something to me that changed my life forever. He said to me, eating animals is bad karma. Who knows what karma is? Yeah, who wants to answer? What is it? What is it?
It's if you do something wrong, it comes back on you, so something bad will happen.
Absolutely. If you do something bad will happen. If you do something good will happen. Now I'm not saying that's true. I don't even know if it's true. But that's what this man said to me. Eating animals is bad karma. And so it made me wonder, am I doing something that's bad for myself here? You know, I want to look into this more. But I also said to him what I'd always believed, that there's no such thing as a healthy vegetarian. Put your hand up if you think you need to eat animals to be healthy. A couple of people, a few people? Yeah, okay, put your hands down. Why do you think we need to eat animals to be healthy? Protein. Anyone else believe that? Protein? Okay, so do you believe that eating animals is the only place you can get protein? Do you think there's protein in nuts and seeds? What about beans?
Yeah, like fish.
Fish is
Fish is
Fish has a lot
yeah.
of protein.
Yeah, fish does have a lot of protein. Meat has a lot of protein. But what I'm saying is that you can also get protein from other sources. So we all agree with that? Okay, cool. So this man said that to me. I thought, well, I'll just try it. I'll just try it for 7 days just to see how I feel. So I didn't eat meat for 7 days. And in that time, I was feeling so good that I decided I needed to look more into this. So that's what I did. I started researching more, and I realized that not only can we be healthy without eating any animal products, but we're likely to live a longer life, to reduce our chances of heart disease, cancers, diabetes, obesity, osteoporosis, the biggest killers. In fact, heart disease is the biggest killer on this planet. It's what most of us, our friends and our family, will suffer and die from. Decades often before our time. And a diet free from animal products is the only diet that has been shown to reverse heart disease. So I got so excited, I'm learning, wow, we can be even healthier without eating animal products. This is amazing. I started telling everybody. And soon later I learned that health isn't the only reason why people don't eat animal products. What do you think the other reason is? Yeah? Because they think it's cool to kill animals. Okay. So what I decided to do was research a bit into that as well. See what's happening to animals before they become that neatly wrapped package on the supermarket shelf. And what I saw horrified me. Now I had seen footage of animals being slaughtered before, but that's when I thought we needed to eat animals to be healthy. So when I saw this again, I watched it, and I asked myself the question, if we don't need to kill any animals to survive and thrive, what are we doing this to them for? And what do you think we're doing this to them for? Why do you think we eat animals? Yeah?
Well, I was gonna say, aren't like stuff like cows and pigs and that like bred for our consumption?
They are bred for our consumption, but does that mean it's that we can own these living beings? Like, what if we bred humans for a certain purpose? You know, they still have a life that's theirs. And in my opinion, I don't think we should believe that we can own another person's life, whether it's a human individual, whether it's a cow individual. So even though they are bred for that purpose, it doesn't give us a right to kill them. So why do you think we eat animals? Yeah?
It tastes nice.
Exactly. Because they taste nice. Because they taste good. That's the main reason why we eat animal products. Any other ideas why? Because it's tradition. We've always done it. Yeah.
To get money out of there.
Absolutely. They sell animal products for money. They make a lot of money. In fact, this is one of the most wealthy industries in the planet, the meat industry, the dairy industry, the egg industry, because people are buying their products 3 times a day. So I asked myself the question, if we don't need to kill and eat them to survive and thrive, why do we do this? I realized the best reason we've got is because they taste good. And I thought about what I'd seen, the brutality and the pain and suffering and the screaming and the killing of these innocent beings. And I decided that's not okay with me. I'm somebody who, if I saw an animal being hurt, I'd want to help that animal, not hurt it. Put your hand out if you feel like you feel good when you help somebody. Yeah, absolutely. We all feel like that. It's natural for us to want to help, not want to harm. So I decided to be true to myself. It didn't make sense for me to keep eating animal products. And soon later I realized that it's not just about eating meat. I mean, not eating meat is a great start, but what else do we use animals for? Yeah?
Like eggs and the
Eggs?
stuff they make. Like the produce, like milk.
Eggs, dairy, yep. So food, what else?
Not as much now, but it's
Labour, they still get used for work today. Very good answer. What else do we use animals for? Yep. Clothing, leather, wool, silk, what else?
Medicine.
Yep, we test medicines on animals. We also test cosmetics and products on animals like that. So we use them for a lot of things because they're vulnerable, because they can't fight back. I realised that it's not just about not eating meat. There's at least as much cruelty in leather, in dairy, in eggs, in all animal products. So I decided I didn't want to contribute to any of it. It didn't make sense to me to say I'm against cruelty to some animals and not others. It didn't make sense to me to say I'm against some types of cruelty but not others. So I stopped it all. Do you know what that's called? Yeah?
Vegan.
Vegan. That's right. I decided I'm going to need to become vegan. I always thought that was this extreme thing to do, but then I thought, well, what's extreme? Being kind to animals and not harming them, when you don't have to, or the way that I was living my life, which was contributing to animal cruelty when it was completely needless and easily avoidable. I thought that's actually what's extreme. So I decided, well, I'm not going to contribute to animal, I'm going to be a vegan. But I don't just want to be a vegan. I don't just want to be a vegan. I want to help them. I want to stop hurting them, that's what being vegan is, but I also want to start helping them. So what can I do? And that's when I had the idea to take a year-long vow of silence as a campaign to raise awareness to animals. So that means I didn't speak for one whole year. The plan was to write on my Facebook page, write a blog, and teach people about veganism, about what they can eat, things like that, while I travelled around Australia. The first thing that happened was that I decided I would visit some animals and get to know them a little bit more, because I'd only been around dogs before. So I went to this rescue sanctuary where a baby cow by the name of Rupert had been rescued from the slaughterhouse. So a lot of people don't realise what happens in the dairy industry. We know that meat is harmful because it's cut off an animal's body. But when it comes to things like dairy, it's not as obvious. It's just a white milk. So I'll explain it to you a little bit. First of all, why do you think that Rupert was seen as a waste product in the dairy industry?
He was only a baby.
He's a baby, but he could have grown. But why is he pointless in the dairy industry? Yeah? Because he can't produce milk. So the dairy industry is just to make profit, and the baby boys will never make milk. So they're seen as a waste product. They're sent to the slaughterhouse. Before that happens, do you think that cows just give milk all the time? What has to happen? Yeah? They have to be pregnant, exactly right. Just like a human mammal. They are mammals too. We're all animals. They're just like us in this way. For them to give milk, they have to be pregnant or have just recently had a baby. Now, what happens when they give birth is they get separated from their babies. So the mothers get separated from their babies and the babies get taken away. Do you think that this might upset the cows? This is one of the most traumatic experiences in the mother cow's life. She will often return to the same spot where she last saw her babies and cry and bellow for days, looking in the same direction where she last saw her babies. The baby boys are a waste product. They're sent to the slaughterhouse and they're killed. These are the cutest, most gentle animals you could imagine. And at the slaughterhouse, they're killed. And it's called humane slaughter. Does anybody know what humane means? Yeah?
Maybe it's not like, are they just like electrocuted or something?
Then they are sometimes, but does anyone know what humane means? What the word humane describes? Yeah.
Doing something in kind of a civil way.
Yeah, great answer. Doing something in a civil way. So it actually means to show compassion. So humane means to show compassion, to do something in a civil way. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that there is a humane way to murder a person? What if they're asleep and they don't feel a thing? Could you call it humane? Why not? Because it's still murder, isn't it? It's still killing someone. There's no compassionate way to take someone's life who doesn't want to die. Do you agree? Okay, so what about with animals? Do you think there's a humane way to slaughter? Is it the same thing? Because even if they don't feel a thing, which almost always they do, we're still taking the life of a sentient being, of an individual who feels pain and suffers just like us. They have friends, they have families, they have communities, they communicate with each other, they have their own heart, they have their own brain. So it's still wrong to kill them, even if there was a way of doing it where they don't feel it. Because we're still taking their life, which is their greatest gift. But they use that word humane to make us, good people, feel better about our choice to do something that causes so much cruelty, which we would never usually be okay with. The baby girls have the same fate as their mother. They're hooked up to painful milking machines after her babies are taken, and then after 5 to 7 years of being severely used and abused, they're sent to a slaughterhouse. After this, and so basically that's the dairy industry. Why do you think we do that? Why do you think all that cruelty happens? Why is the dairy industry so important? What do we need it for? Yeah? Pardon? People need calcium. Okay. A lot of people believe that. I used to believe that too. Do you think that calcium is only found in cow's milk? Do you think it makes sense that if cow's milk was the only place that we could find calcium, that we would, we're adult humans now, or we're teenage humans. No other species drinks milk past their infancy, and no other species drinks the milk of another species. Do you think it's strange that we still drink a baby's milk? Do you think that's strange? It's quite normal, but it's a strange thing to do when you think about it. There's calcium found in so many foods that don't involve getting it from cow's milk. But the real reason is because, like we talked about earlier, people like the taste of cheese. They want a taste of cheese on their sandwich, or some cow's milk in their cereal or in their tea. So let me ask you this question. Do you think that all of that cruelty that I just explained is justified by us wanting the taste of beef and cheese? What do you think? Don't think so? I personally think that there's no taste good enough that justifies us taking babies from mothers, killing babies and killing mothers. I think that it's not even close to justified for something, a fleeting 5-minute taste pleasure. Yeah?
Could we not still get the cheese and milk and not hurt them?
No, actually, because we're always going to need to be taking milk from a baby. We're always going to need to be having these cows become pregnant, which is a forced thing that humans do. And because of the demand for this milk, it's so big that's why it's in such a bad place now where there's factory farms. There is a way though that we can have milk and cheese and ice cream and chocolate without hurting cows. So what other types of milk are there out there? Yeah.
Soy milk.
Soy milk, what else?
Coconut milk.
Coconut milk?
Almond milk.
Almond milk, what else? Hazelnut milk. There's so many milks out there that don't involve harming these animals. So when it's as easy as doing this, you're at the supermarket, or you're asking your mum says, what do you want from the supermarket? And you've got cow's milk here, and all you have to do is just get the soy milk, or the rice milk, or the coconut, the hazelnut milk. It's that easy to avoid all that pain to the animals. Yeah?
Doesn't it cost more?
It might cost $1 more. And as the demand for those milks increases, the price of those things will decrease. A pound more, sorry. But not always. Sometimes it's just the same. Yeah?
If it became to eat animals like naturally.
You could, except that's never what happens. That's never what we buy from the supermarket. So you never end up eating an animal that died naturally. In fact, most animals that die naturally, you probably wouldn't want to eat anyway because you don't know how they died. They could have died from some disease, and you probably don't want to eat that kind of thing anyway. But the beauty is we've got vegan meats. There's vegan sausages, there's vegan burgers, there's vegan things that taste like chicken, and every meat you can think of. Yeah?
So there's no humane way to kill a human.
Yeah.
Like when people go to prison and they've done something really bad,
Yeah.
sometimes they can have to go in a chair.
Yeah, that's true.
You still think that's inhumane?
I think that the way it's a different thing because exactly right. That's a punishment that society on some level has decided on. So it's kind of a different thing. We're not talking about an innocent being here. Hang on, hold the rest of the questions till I finish that, right, man? So that's what happens in the dairy industry. After I learned about this and I looked after this baby cow Rupert, I became much more passionate, realizing that this is such a big problem, and there's so much good that can be done to help the animals. After that, I travelled across the other side of Australia, and my van broke down in the middle of the desert. So I decided I needed to ride a bike. I would ride a bike from Darwin to Sydney, which is 5,000 kilometres. But before I did that, I wanted to do more to kind of bring the conversation up. Because what do you think everyone said to me when they met me and they realised I couldn't talk? What do you think they said? Yeah?
He's mute.
Yeah, they thought I was mute. They said, why can't you talk? What's wrong with you? And so that gave me an opportunity to always explain what I was doing this vow of silence for. I thought, how else can I bring up this conversation? And then I thought, I'll get tattoos. Because everybody always asks, what do tattoos say? And that way, when people ask me that, I'll get tattoos with a message. So, can you see what that is? Lion. And it says here, lions kill for need, humans kill for greed. We're not lions. A lot of people say, but lions kill and eat animals, why can't we? And the reason is because they have to kill to survive. Where we have a choice, we can live and thrive without killing animals. So, as good people who agree that hurting others is wrong, just logically that should be the choice we make. Over here, what's that? Close? Orangutan. Okay, it's an orangutan. This is one of my favourite quotes of all time. It says, because the heart beats under a covering of feathers, scales, wings, or fur, is it for that reason to be of no account? So what that means is, just because they're covered with something different than us, does that mean their heart doesn't matter? What do you think? Can anyone give me an example of when humans have judged other humans based on how they look on the outside? Segregation, slavery, yes. White people wrongly believed that they were superior to black people. What a ridiculous belief to have based simply just on the colour of skin. That's ridiculous. It's like me saying that I'm superior to blonde-haired people because my hair is brown. It's a completely meaningless trait to determine the value of somebody's life. And we know that now, but not long ago, many people suffered and died because of that. When else have we done it?
Prejudices against like disabled people.
Prejudices against disabled people. Exactly, that's called ableism. What else? Inequality between men and women. Men believed that men were superior to women just because they were women and men were men. And we realise now how ridiculous that is. Racism, ableism, sexism, and what I'm talking about today is speciesism. You say that word? Speciesism. It is basically the same thing. We're judging their value based on their species, which is a meaningless trait to base value on. It doesn't matter if they're covered in feathers or scales or wings or fur, because their heart beats, their brain in one way or another thinks, and their life has value, if to nobody else, to them. So I got all these tattoos that tell the story, and then I get back, I get on my bike, I cycled 5,000 kilometres all the way across Australia. I did that because I wanted to prove to people that you can be fit and healthy and strong without eating any animal products. Also, the world record holding strongman is a vegan. Mr. Universe of a few years ago is a vegan. World champion arm wrestler, world champion ultra marathon. So many of the most elite athletes on the planet eat no animal products. And the reason why they do so well is because this is what's natural for our body. We don't look at an animal being killed and get hungry. We get disgusted. We don't look at raw meat and think it's delicious. We can't even eat it. Most of the time it will make us sick. But when we peel a piece of fruit and we eat that, it's delicious in its raw, natural form. And that's nature's way of telling us what we're supposed to eat. When we put the right fuels into our body, we can live longer and be healthier. And I get all the way across the other side of Australia, and then Australia's most popular morning TV show, they emailed me and they said, James, we saw what you're doing. Would you like to speak for the first time on our show? And I was really scared, but I said, okay. So I get to their show, I sit in the chair, there's the cameras there, the TV, it's on TV live. And they said, all right, James, what are your first words gonna be? And I said, did you get that?
I want to ask you why.
I want you to ask me why. That's what I said. And they said, okay, James, why did you do this? And I said, thank you for asking. The reason I took this vow of silence was to raise awareness for the voiceless victims of this planet, the animals. We all say we love animals and we're against animal cruelty, but we're paying people to mutilate and torture and slaughter animals. And it's not for any necessity. It's not because we need to for our health. It's because we like the way they taste. So I went voiceless because they're voiceless. I thought, but then I realized they're not actually voiceless. They cry in pain and they scream in terror. And when they do that, they're telling us that they're suffering. But the problem is we're not listening because they're covered in feathers or scales or wings or fur. They look different to us on the outside, so we don't take their suffering seriously. I also did this to raise awareness for the way I've been living my life. I'm vegan, which means I don't consume any animal products. I don't support any animal cruelty. And I wanted to show people through my journey how easy that is, how healthy that is, how delicious the food is, and that if you agree that animal cruelty is wrong, that it's the right way for you to live as well. That interview was viewed millions and millions of times. All around the world, different news channels got onto it. It was something that had never really been done before. And thousands and thousands of people contacted me after that who'd been inspired to make a change in their life. And that's why I'm here today, to educate, to try to encourage and inspire you as well, to make a change in your life. That's going to be healthier for you, that's going to be better for the planet, and that's the right thing to do by the animals. And I also wanted you to know that each and every one of you makes a difference in this world. We are so lucky to live in this part of the world. I'm so lucky to live in Australia, to have the privileges and the opportunities that we have. You're very lucky. A lot of people don't have that. And it's up to us to take advantage of that, to appreciate what we've got, and to be the people that model good behaviour and make this world a better place. And that'll be you one day as well. I just wanted to let you know that. Thank you all so much for being here, so I really appreciate your attention. Thank you. Do you have much time?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Oh, if anybody has any questions or anything like that, yeah?
Animal rights, I love the whole idea, but have you thought about also how maybe clothes you're wearing, they're cotton maybe, and they've come from cotton farms and people are obviously being forced? Or...
Absolutely, man, absolutely. So here's my opinion. The first thing we should do is look at what we're doing that causes the most harm. By far, the worst thing we're doing is consuming animal products that creates the most suffering, the most torture, the most pain and feeling. We eat 3 times a day. We buy clothes much more rarely. But definitely, once you've crossed off the worst thing that you're contributing to, look what's next. Maybe you're buying clothing that's not ethical. You can start focusing on where your clothing comes from. Maybe you use a lot of plastic. You can start reducing the amount of plastic. So absolutely, that's all important, man. But I think the first thing we should do is stop the worst thing that we're doing. And that's very easy, to just change what you get or what you ask for with your mum. To look up vegan recipes online, there's millions of them. Instead of having ice cream, you can blend a few frozen bananas with a bit of soy milk and it makes the most delicious ice cream. You should try that out, it's a really good recipe. So definitely though, really good question. That's all important, man. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things in this world that require our attention, and when we have the opportunity to do something that increases the peace, we should take it. Yes.
Like, not everyone in this world is going to be like an elite athlete. So you're only going to live once, so why not just live?
That's okay. It's a good question. Not everyone's going to be an elite athlete, absolutely. But we are all, I think most people want to live a life free from suffering, not be on medications, not die 20 years before their time. But that's just for us. The reason why we shouldn't eat it is because of them. Because if you wouldn't want it done to you, we shouldn't do it to them, right? And I definitely don't want someone putting me in a cage and chopping pieces of my body off and killing me or taking my babies from me just so they can have a 5-minute snack. So yes, there's many health benefits for us, whether you're going to be an elite athlete or not. But the reason why we should do it, why we should go vegan, is because of the victims of our choices, because they don't deserve this life of suffering that we force upon them. It's wrong, and just because they're vulnerable, the more vulnerable the victim, the more cruel the crime. And we should be helping the most vulnerable rather than hurting them. We have the power to do so. Yes.
If an ant nest came in your house.
If a what, sorry?
Ant.
If a what? If an ant nest came in my house, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Yeah, it's a really good question. Sometimes when you're a vegan, you can't be perfect. So I'll give you another example. On the roads out there, sometimes there's animal products in them. Does that mean I'm not going to use the road? No, I'm still going to use the road. But as soon as a vegan road opens up next door, I'll get on that road. Now with ants, there are certain ways to get ants out of your house that don't cause them harm. And I would try all of those ways first. If every single one of them failed and it was becoming a serious problem, then I would do what I could in the way that I found the least bad. So you can't be perfect. Even eating vegan food causes some harm in some ways, like when crops are harvested. There's few animals that are killed. It's not perfect. But veganism isn't about being perfect, it's about causing the least amount of harm possible. Yeah, really good question. Yes.
Why do so many vegans have to take vitamins and stuff?
Really good question. Every single person should be taking vitamin B12. So the one vitamin that isn't found in a vegan diet is B12. It would be found in a vegan diet if we still had a natural diet. But because of the way that we sanitize foods now, most of the B12 is killed before it gets to us. In nature, you would get it because B12 is a vitamin made by bacteria in soil or in water. So we all need to take that. Even people who eat animal products should be taking B12 because there's a deficiency in both. It's as simple as doing one spray under your tongue every couple of days, taking a pill every couple of days. It's very, very easy to get enough B12. And there's also a lot of foods like soy milks and vegan meats and things like that that have B12 in them as well. But the studies show that there are less nutrient deficiencies on a vegan diet compared to a standard diet. So although there are some nutrient deficiencies on average in a vegan diet, which can easily be fixed, you're even more likely to suffer nutrient deficiencies by not being on a vegan diet. Yes?
So, if we're not supposed to eat animals, like, when I say it, like,
Yeah.
it's not sound like rude, but
No, that's okay. Just say however you want.
what is there like purpose then? If you
Good question.
can't-
Great question. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of examples. Chickens, when they are sitting on their eggs, they sing to their babies. They love their babies. Their purpose is to take care of their baby and create a family. What is the purpose of a dolphin? Sometimes they like to have fun. Sometimes they like to be in packs and do different things. What is the purpose of a bird? Sometimes they just enjoy flying around. What is the purpose of a human? Do you know what I mean? It's your choice to make your purpose whatever you want. And it's the same with every single other individual on the planet. Their purpose isn't to be a machine for us, an egg-laying machine. They have a purpose of their own, and that is to enjoy their life or use their life in whatever way they want. And I think that's the thing that most humans aren't really realizing, is that we think their purpose is to serve us, when actually their purpose is whatever they want, because we don't own them. We shouldn't own them. Yes?
Like chicken paste and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, would there be actual chicken in it?
Sometimes things like chicken paste or chicken salt, there is some chicken in it, and sometimes there's not. But pretty much every food and thing like that you can think of, there's a vegan version of it. So to find vegan foods, you can just type vegan breakfast recipes. If there's a specific paste you like, you can type vegan chicken paste. and see what comes up. Almost always there's an alternative that's vegan, generally at the same supermarket you've got. If you want to start looking at vegan recipes, you can just look up vegan breakfast recipes, vegan lunch ideas, vegan lunchbox ideas, and things like that. YouTube videos, Instagram, there's so much out there, millions of amazing recipes. Yeah.
So you can get vegan cat and dog food?
You can get vegan dog food because dogs are just like us. They can easily thrive on a vegan diet. In fact, the oldest dog in recorded history was vegan from birth. Cats are a different story. They are obligate carnivores, but there is vegan food out there supplemented with taurine, which is the supplement that cats need from meat that they don't get from anything else. And a lot of cats do really well on that food as well, but some don't, usually boys. So if you did have to feed the cat in your care animal products, again, that's about doing the best you can as a vegan. Sometimes you have to do things that aren't perfect, and that would be one of them. But ideally, you know, we just do our best, basically, yeah. Yeah.
What about, like, if you were to have a pet dog, surely that's animal cruelty because you're not letting them live their life.
Well, if you are buying from a breeder, you're creating a demand for breeding more animals into existence. And when there are already so many hounds, for example, with animals who need a home, I think that is the wrong thing to do, because you could have saved one of those animals' lives instead of breeding a new one into existence. One of them is still going to suffer. You could have saved them instead of paying someone to breed a new animal. So I think the right thing to do is to rescue animals, whether you adopt them or foster them, from a place like a pound, and you're doing that animal a favour. You're giving them a better chance at life. It's not perfect, but it's a much better chance. And I think that's our obligation because we put them in this mess. Yes.
You say that there's like no other way of them to get like dairy products and that. So surely it's not being cruel. It's just them. That's the only way they can do it. So
Well, it's still cruel because we don't need dairy. If we needed dairy, then we would do it the least cruel way possible. But when there's absolutely no need for humans to drink baby cow milk, then any way that we do it that causes harm is unnecessary harm. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah?
A lot of people have a thing against vegans, as I've heard recently.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of the time they think vegans are very opinionistic and they don't base a lot of their stuff off fact. So there are some vegans that are very factual, but a lot of them just have opinions, so to say.
I think more of the problem is how vegans sometimes deliver the message. Because if you think about it, when you realise, for 26 years I didn't see what was going on. And then one day it was kind of like waking up in a nightmare and realising that everybody, almost everybody, including myself for all those years, was contributing to so much unnecessary cruelty and killing of animals who are like children. They're as innocent as a child, as vulnerable as a child. And so you get quite frustrated and you want everyone to stop straight away because you see this massive injustice. And I think a lot of vegans don't know how to channel that frustration into something meaningful. I don't know if I'd agree that a lot of vegans, or this reputation that some vegans have, is because they don't come from facts. That's not something that I've really noticed. Maybe it's something you've noticed, but I think the beauty of being vegan is we do have the truth on our side, and the truth is a very powerful thing. It's not an opinion that animals are being needlessly abused and slaughtered for foods and products that we're better off without. You know, that is a fact. What happens in the dairy industry and the egg industry is a fact. That we can be healthier and live longer lives is a fact. So I think we do have the facts on our side. Maybe some vegans don't know them, and that's possible, but every question that I had when I went vegan, what about protein? What about humanely slaughtering animals? What about this? What about that? There's always a very logical answer that still points in the direction of being vegan, I've found. And I've been vegan nearly 4 years now, and I've spoken to thousands of people, and that's still the case. Yep.
So, because you try and obviously get your point across and like try to tell people to become vegan, but I don't really think there's ever going to be a time where everyone is vegan.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you know, there's never going to probably be a time where not everyone is a murderer. We're always going to have some people that still murder and still abuse children. That, you know, that we're never going to have a perfect society. But one thing that we all have in common, which I asked at the start, is that we all agree that animal cruelty is wrong, yeah? Okay, and so because we have that agreement that animal cruelty is wrong, then already in our heart, we all have veganism in our heart. And because we've got the delicious food, we've got the health benefits, we've got the environmental benefits, we've got the benefits for the animals, there's really no reason at all why everyone can't go vegan. And that might not mean that the whole world goes vegan, but if another 20% of the world goes vegan, that's amazing. Maybe it'll be another 50%. Because my belief, and this is the belief of some very wise people in the past as well, like Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, and many great people of the past, also think that one day we will look back on the way we treated animals and the murder of animals in the same way as we look at the treatment and murder of humans. And I already see it that way. You know, not exactly the same, it's different, but in very many ways it is a similar atrocity. And I see that now, and a lot of vegans see that now, and hopefully, as more people become educated about how necessary what we do to them is, that more people will start to agree with that too. But good point. Yes.
What was the last non-vegan thing you ate?
The last non-vegan thing I ate, well, that would have been probably 3.5 years ago, and it probably would have been ice cream or some sort of dairy like that. And I was a huge ice cream eater. I was a huge meat eater as well. But when I learned that you can make ice cream from just blending a few frozen bananas with a bit of soy milk, that's like my favorite recipe. You should all try that. Wait till your bananas get a little bit spotty, and then peel them, chop them up, put them in a freezer. When they're frozen, take them out and put them in a blender, add a bit of soy milk or whatever plant-based milk you like, blend it up, and it becomes this thick, delicious ice cream. You can put some nuts on there, you can put some peanut butter on there, some maple syrup, whatever you want. And there's lots of different ways you can make that delicious. You should really try it. It's an amazing recipe. Yep.
Do you not think that if you're put in like a survival situation, that living just off of like the plants and that, do you not think it's a lot easier to be living like animals?
That's a really good question. If I was in a survival situation where I had to kill to survive, I might do it. You know? If I was, there's very many stories of humans killing other humans and eating them because they're so hungry. And when you're that hungry, sometimes that's what you do. So I can't say what I would do in a survival situation. Maybe I would kill and eat an animal. Maybe I would kill and eat a human. I really don't know. But the point is that we're not in a survival situation. What, like some people say, if you were stranded on a desert island, would you eat an animal? I say maybe. But let me ask the question. If you were living in a world where you could easily live and thrive without paying someone to torture and kill an animal for you, would you just live that way and be vegan? Why wouldn't you? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Do you think the world would change if there's no animals at all?
The world would massively change if there's no animals at all, but that's not what I'm talking about. So if ants disappeared from the world, everything would be a disaster. If bees disappeared, things would be a disaster. If humans disappeared, everything would be great. The world would thrive. We are the biggest pest on this planet. But I'm not talking about just letting all animals disappear. You know, I'm talking about not forcibly breeding animals into existence for us, which is the leading cause, animal agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, habitat loss, and greenhouse gas emissions. There's more greenhouse gas emissions produced by the methane that comes out of cows than by every single transportation device on this planet. So we'd have a massive improvement in the welfare of our environment as well. But I'm still not saying there should be no animals here. There's millions of species of animals here. We only eat a very few of them. You know, imagine what would you say if I said, here's a glass of dog milk, do you want some? Would you want to drink that? Would you drink a dog's milk? Why do we drink a cow's milk? Why is that normal? What if I said, here's some human milk, would you want to drink that? But isn't that more normal to drink human milk than to drink a cow's milk?
Yeah, because you do it with your baby.
Right, so it's a bit strange that we have this kind of double standard in our head, isn't it? Yeah?
I'm kind of thinking, what do you class as animal cruelty? Because if I bought these chickens I rescued these chickens,
Yeah.
okay, and they're laying eggs, and these eggs aren't turning into chicks because
Great
it's not a
question.
cockerel. These eggs are gonna just rot and go away.
I'll tell you.
Why do you want?
A really, really good question. What about if you have rescued chickens and they are laying eggs? Is there any cruelty with taking their eggs? I'll explain. If you take, first of all, these chickens have been selectively bred to lay one egg every single day. In nature, they would lay about 20 eggs a year. So this is a lot more stress that their body goes through to be able to lay eggs the way that we have forced them to do. When you take one of their eggs, it prompts their body to lay more. It's called becoming broody. So you take one of their eggs and they want to lay another egg, which means even more stress on their body. Now let's say that there was an egg discarded by one of these chickens. They didn't even know about the egg. Would it be cool to eat that egg? Not directly, but I would say still don't eat the egg. First of all, there's more cholesterol in an egg than there is in a Big Mac burger. They're a very unhealthy food. They're not even allowed legally to be labelled as a health food in any way. But I wouldn't eat it for the animals, because if I eat that egg, I can't say I'm vegan anymore. And if I can't say I'm vegan, then I'm throwing away a very powerful statement that shows people that you can be healthy and live without eating any animal products. And I think that's a very important message to show people. So I wouldn't throw that away just for an egg on my toast every few days. Put avocado on my toast instead, put jam, put peanut butter. You know what I'm saying? Really good question, though. Good thinking, yes.
Probably going to sound really dumb, but
It won't.
But if the chicken lays an egg and it wants to lay another egg, it's now their choice, like, and then like, there's nothing to do with the other eggs.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Except like, you know when like your chicken gives birth to an egg,
Yeah.
and you said it wants to lay another egg,
Yeah.
then that's the chicken's choice.
Well, it's not really a choice. It's a process of the body. Kind of, yeah. It's kind of like, you know, a woman's cycle. A human woman's cycle isn't their choice. It just happens. And the way that's all right. It's a good question. I have a lot of questions about this, so don't feel bad. And so, the process of their body is manipulated. That's why that's what selective breeding is. They find certain chickens with, for example, lots of meat on their breasts, so big breasts, and then they breed those chickens more and more and more until the breasts become bigger and bigger and bigger. See, now you can. Before it would have taken 3 months to have a chicken half the size as what we can get now in 1 month. Do you understand what I'm saying there? So in 3 months, we would have had a chicken this big. Now in 1 month, we get a chicken double the size. And that's because of the way we bred them. Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that really hit me.
In what way, bro?
I mean, like, not eating animals.
Yeah.
Like when you said about the slaughter, it actually hit me. I felt it like
Wow.
tickled down my
Wow.
I just wanted to say I was very inspired by your presentation.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.